The sun burned over the red cliffs of Arizona Territory the year 1879. The river below shimmered like glass, cruel and deep. On its banks, a group of Apache warriors stood in silence, their faces hardened. In the middle of them lay a young woman, her legs motionless, her spirit broken but her eyes alive. They said she had lost her ability to walk after a raid gone wrong. Dead weight, a curse upon survival. The tribe's law was cruel. Those who could not move slowed the path. When they lifted her, she did not beg. She only whispered a prayer to the wind. From the cliffs above, a lone cowboy named Eli Turner watched. He had been tracking wild horses when he heard the commotion below. What he saw froze his blood, men casting away a woman into the raging water. She struck the surface with a splash and disappeared beneath the current. Eli didn't think. He spurred his horse forward, threw off his hat and dove headfirst into the icy river. The shock hit his chest like a hammer, but he kicked hard, fighting the current, searching for her through the swirling brown water. At last he saw her pale arm break the surface. With desperate strength he reached out and pulled her close, her body limp and heavy. He dragged her to the bank, coughing, both shivering and gasping for air. The Apache warriors had vanished into the hills. She lay still, her dark hair plastered to her face, eyes half open. "You're safe now, ma'am," Eli muttered, though he wasn't sure she understood. Her lips trembled. She spoke a few words in her tongue. He only caught one. Why? Eli built a fire beside the riverbank as night fell. The desert cooled quickly and he wrapped her in his coat. Her legs did not move. He realized she truly couldn't stand. When she woke again, fear flickered in her gaze. "I ain't here to harm you," he said softly. "Name's Eli, you're gonna be all right." He offered her water from his canteen. She hesitated, then drank. There was dignity even in her weakness, something that humbled him deeply. He'd seen plenty of death on this land, but this woman refused to die. He made a stretcher from branches and tied it to his horse. The journey to his ranch was long and rough across sand and stone, but he never left her side. Days passed before she spoke again. "Naily," she said at last, tapping her chest. "My name," Eli smiled faintly. "Pretty name. Means something, don't it?" She nodded. "I am." "Blessing," he chuckled. "That you are." Her faint smile warmed the dusty air. From that day, the cowboy who once lived alone found purpose again. Back at his ranch, life began to change. Eli built her a bed near the fire and taught her to use a cane carved from mesquite wood. She learned some English. He learned fragments of her language. At night he read to her from his old Bible, not out of preaching, but comfort. Sometimes she would hum soft Apache lullabies. They shared silence more than words, peace in the quiet after long years of war. Yet deep inside, Nayeli fought despair. A warrior with no legs felt half alive. One morning, while Eli repaired the corral, he saw her crawling toward the porch steps, trying to pull herself up. Sweat glistened on her brow, but she didn't stop. He rushed to help, but she raised her hand sharply. "No help," she said. Inch by inch, she climbed. When she reached the top, she looked out across the valley, the same land that once rejected her. Eli stood speechless, a deep respect rising within him. "You're tougher than half the men I've ever met," he murmured. Nayeli simply smiled. Word spread through nearby towns that a cowboy was keeping an Apache woman on his land. Men whispered, mocked him in saloons. Some called him a fool, others a traitor. One night, 3 men rode out, torches in hand. They shouted insults, demanding he send her back to her kind. Eli stepped out, rifle in hand, standing in front of Nayeli's cabin. "Ain't nobody taking her anywhere," he said coldly. The men spat, fired a warning shot, then galloped away into the dark. Nayeli wept silently afterward, not from fear, but because someone had finally chosen her side. Over the next months, the two built a quiet rhythm of survival. Eli taught her how to shoot sitting down, her steady hands never missing. She tended to his wounds when he worked the land too hard. When a drought hit, they dug a well together, Eli digging, Nayeli directing, her eyes sharper than any compass. Life wasn't easy, but it was theirs. One evening, while the sunset painted the desert red, Nayeli whispered, "You gave me life again." Eli replied, "You gave me something to live for." Seasons changed. The desert bloomed after the rains. Nayeli could now stand for short moments, leaning on the wooden rails Eli built for her. They planted corn and beans together. Sometimes she laughed freely, beautifully. Eli had never thought he'd hear such a sound on his land. Still, she carried the pain of her tribe's betrayal, the loss of family and name, one night as stars.